Do you long to run away from home? If so, you might just live in Illinois. Some states have a worse reputation than others, and Illinois is one of those states. Thanks to politicians and the media, the land of Lincoln is seen as an overtaxed cesspool, and people have been jumping ship for a while now. Just since the 2020 census, Illinois has lost an estimated 230,500 residents. That's a decrease of 1.8% of the population. But like with every other state, Illinois has some good places to live, as well as some places you should never step foot in. So in this video, we're taking a look at some of those horrible places that you should just avoid. Number 5. Kankakee. You know how Illinois is known for having the governors go to prison? One of them, George Ryan, is from Kankakee. One might argue that that's just a coincidence, but there have actually been several corruption scandals involving politicians and Kankakee. There seems to be something in the water there. They have 1.31 times the usual number of people working in the public administration industry, some of which are police officers. In Illinois, there is an average of 2.6 police officers per 1,000 residents, but in Kankakee, where the population is 24,052, they average 2.8 officers. Of course, they need the extra officers because their overall crime rate is 83% higher than the national average and 116% higher than the Illinois average. When you look at violent crimes, it's even worse. With 4 murders and 229 various other violent crimes, the violent crime rate is 135% above the national average. The FBI considers Kankakee to be safer than only 5% of U.S. cities. There's a 1 in 24 chance of becoming a victim of a crime if you stick around this area. Then there's the issue with education. I don't know for sure that their school system sucks, but it certainly seems like it, since 24.3% of the adults over 25 decided to drop out of high school, and only 13.6% have bothered with a college education. Most jobs tend to prefer for their employees to have a high school diploma, so 28.9% of the people live in poverty, and the median household income is only $37,894. Number 4. Rockford. Rockford seems to be having an identity crisis. Either that, or there are just quite a few delusional people in that city. I've been reading reviews from people who live there, and mixed in with the usual comments about how Rockford is a dangerous place to be, there are some who think it's just a great city. There doesn't seem to be an in-between reaction. I think the funniest review was the one that said, "Living in Rockford is like living in Nazi Germany in 1945. Enjoy the ruins." Based on all of the stats, I'm going to say that person is probably closer to the mark than those who think that Rockford is nice. For one thing, there are a lot of poor people in this area. 22.3% of the people are living below the poverty line. That's because the median household income is only $44,252. The largest industry in Rockford is manufacturing. Unfortunately, factory jobs are no longer as well paid as they were just a few decades ago. Adding to that is that the third largest industry is in retail sales, and those types of positions are usually minimum wage or a small commission, so no one is getting rich from doing that. This is one of the largest cities in Illinois, with a population of 145,609, so it would be expected that they would have a higher number of crimes reported, but Rockford is an overachiever in this department. They reported 1,711 violent crimes, including 14 murders, making the violent crime rate 209% higher than the national average. They reported 4,848 property crimes, so that's 58% higher than the average. The chance of being a victim of a crime is 1 in 23, so Rockford is safer than only 4% of other U.S. cities. If none of that deters you, housing is affordable. The average home price is only $91,600. Number 3. Decatur. Decatur puts a stench over central Illinois, quite literally. It's a dirty, depressing town that smells of soybeans. Yet 70,522 people call it home. Of course, that's down from 76,122 in the previous census. This place has a problem with both crime and poverty. Every night on the news, there's a report of some horrible crime that has taken place. The FBI's most recent report for Decatur listed 11 murders, 364 various other violent crimes, and 1,954 property crimes. The crime rate is 40% higher than the national average and 66% higher than the Illinois average. It's safer than only 16% of U.S. cities, and the chance of becoming a victim is 1 in 31. The median household income is $20,000 below the national median at only $42,701, so 22.1% of the residents live in poverty. That's because too many of the available jobs come from low-paying sectors. The 3 largest industries are manufacturing at 17.7% of the jobs, healthcare and social assistance at 15.4%, and retail at 13%. Number 2. Danville. Danville had the dubious honor of making headlines last year for having a new synthetic opioid making the rounds, and that pretty much sums up the type of city that it is. It's depressing, filled with crime, and falling apart. The violent crime rate in Danville is 361% higher than the national average. They reported 536 violent crimes, including 7 murders. The property crime rate is 112% above the national average. They reported 1,370 property crimes. This is with a population of 30,479. During the last decade, they have lost 7.7% of their population, so people are getting out of this area when they can. The chance of being a victim of a crime is 1 in 17. Danville is safer than only 2% of US cities. I knew someone who moved to Danville and she turned up murdered, so I definitely don't recommend this place. If the crime doesn't deter a person, perhaps the lack of opportunities would. The median household income is only $36,172, so 29.4% of the people fall below the poverty line. Just like the other terrible places on this list, the main industries in Danville are healthcare, manufacturing, and retail. Only 55.9% of the households are occupied by the homeowner. Normally, I would chalk that up to the low wages, but maybe the other 44.1% are just smart enough to not put down permanent roots there. For those who do, they can expect an average home price of $66,700. Number 1. East St. Louis. Most lists of terrible Illinois communities include East St. Louis. It's considered by a lot of people to be the absolute worst city in the state. It's beyond depressing to drive through the area. Dilapidated buildings, burned out cars, graffiti, it's just horrible to look at. Those who can leave do. From 2010 to 2020, their population dropped from 27,006 people to 18,469. With such a small population, the crime rates are just unbelievable. 36 murders, 32 robberies, 173 assaults, 415 property crimes. The violent crime rate is an astounding 163% above the national average. There is a 1 in 39 chance of becoming a victim of a crime, and the FBI says that East St. Louis is safer than 8% of US cities. I'm just surprised that there are cities doing worse. 33.4% of the residents live below the poverty line, and the median household income is only $24,343. There just aren't any jobs in this city. There are jobs to be found across the river in St. Louis, but when you don't have any money, transportation is difficult. And in this community, if you're fortunate enough to own a car, it's only a matter of time before someone tries to steal it. If you live in Illinois, what other places would you suggest people avoid moving to or visiting? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing or becoming a member of the channel. I also offer merch below if you'd like to help support me. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I remain stuck in the current field.